Alright, so today we're going to do a video from praggerU on police union leader stop verifying cops.
My name is Mike O'Meara. I'm the president of the New York State Association of PBAs. And I just want to talk to you, the press, and I want to talk to the police officers.
Okay.
375 million interactions with the public every year.
Yeah.
375 million interactions. Overwhelmingly positive responses. Overwhelmingly positive responses.
Okay.
But I read in the papers all week, we all read in the papers, that in the black community, mothers are worried about their children getting home from school without being killed by a cop. What world are we living in? That doesn't happen. It does not happen. I am not Derek Chauvin. They are not him. He killed someone. We didn't. We are restrained. And you know what? I'm saying this to all the cops here. Because you know what? Everybody's trying to shame us. The legislators, the press.
Kind of agree,
Everybody's trying to shame us into being embarrassed about our profession. Well, you know what? This isn't stained by someone in Minneapolis. It's still got a shine on it. And so do theirs. So do theirs.
Kind of agree on the police thing. Like, I don't know the solution, because there has been violent problems from police officers. There's no doubt about it, but to the scale is not to what people claim it to be. And the more everyday people start viewing cops as the bad guy, cops are going to start viewing us as the enemy. And it's just going to grow and grow and grow and grow until they are the bad guys and we are their enemy. We have to, both sides, come together to try to fix this. You can't label all cops as evil.
For 39 years, I was a police officer in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. For 15 of those years, I was the sheriff of Milwaukee County. I've done everything you can do as a cop, from walking the beat to investigating murder to running the agency. I've met a lot of cops of every race, ethnicity, and background. Here's what I can tell you. Cops are not perfect. That's not a news flash, but this might be.
Yeah.
They don't have to be perfect. They have to be excellent.
I agree.
And most officers reach excellence every single day, and often under very difficult circumstances. Circumstances you can't imagine and wouldn't want to if you could.
That's true.
Perfection is an unattainable goal. Cops
That
are
is also
ordinary
correct.
human beings, like everyone else. Lawyers, surgeons, and baseball players,
That's true.
they make mistakes. But no profession works harder to correct its mistakes. You can mark social progress by the improvements made by police departments over the last 50 years. Today, police are more professional.
I would say probably in the last 50 years, cops are more professional than they used to be, and even more so 100 years ago. Like, lawlessness, even with inside the law, kind of existed many years ago, but it's becoming harder and harder for even cops to get away with crimes. And many people really don't want to commit crimes, right? So people try their best. I think cops are not different from that.
Better educated and better trained than at any time in their history.
That's also true.
You wouldn't know it, though, if you listened to self-serving, self-righteous politicians and activists. In their version of history, the police are the villains of the story, not its heroes. Like everything else this crowd does, they've got it all backwards. The police aren't the problem. The politicians and activists are. The police didn't create the...
Well, I don't think the activists are the problem. I mean, there's a reason people are rioting, right? Like, things have gone wrong continuously, and the right things aren't in place to protect people. I think in most of the cases, this is unpopular opinion, I'm sure get shit shouted for because I'm white, but I think in most of the cases when you see these black people, unfortunately in the States, getting killed or injured, they are committing some kind of crime or involved in or have responded in a way that escalates the situation. Not in every case. And I think if you compare it to white citizens and other races, it's probably the equivalent. I had a friend for many years I spent time with that whenever cops were brought into the equation, he made things much, much worse, and he was white. Where was it going with this? My brain has dropped out. Activists and stuff. But anyways, regardless of whether the person that's been shot or harmed is criminal or not, there needs to be an attempt to maintain that person's life or to prevent injury. Like, I don't think the goal of a police officer should be to eliminate that person. It should be to try to bring them in and go through the courts. Like, I think that's the proper way to do things. But it's up to that cop to weigh the risks. Like, we don't want to lose that cop too. So it's a very delicate balance to walk, and I don't think people appreciate that. And I think people on the other side assume that others should just let them get away with anything because it's a delicate line, which is also not the case.
Failed urban policies that have locked people into generational poverty. The police aren't responsible for fatherless homes, failing schools, and bad lifestyle choices. And they sure as hell aren't responsible for the lack of respect shown to police officers. It is this lack of respect for authority, fostered over decades by the progressive left and its fear.
I think it is a lack of respect for the authority and police officers that's causing a lot of these problems. But I don't think it has anything to do with the progressive left. The left can tend to be more like that, but in a lot of ways, I think in media. But I think the right is just as much opposing authority in the cops. Like, you don't hear about left liberals or progressive lefts having militias ready to fight the government, right? Like, that typically you hear that from the right side, but you do hear for the most part the progressive lefts or whatever, the far lefts, as being the ones rioting the most, causing disturbance on media, calling people out more. I think both sides are guilty of this, though.
Hear the police narrative that has led to the needless deaths of so many young black men. When Officer Darren Wilson told Michael Brown to get out of the middle of the street in Ferguson, Missouri, did Brown comply? No. When officers in Baltimore told Freddie Gray to stop resisting arrest, did he comply? No. When officers in New York City told Eric Garner to stop resisting arrest, did he comply? No.
Shamefully, I don't know any of these people. They're making it look mostly peaceful, but I'm assuming in these stories those guys probably died. And I think we should appreciate whether they're a criminal or not, or whether they resisted a death, whether they provoked their death or not. We should still understand the impact of a life being lost. It's never a good thing, even the worst of killed people, I believe. Excuse me. I know that's an unpopular opinion, saying, like, I don't think the evilest of people should be killed if we can prevent it. So I think all life matters, right? All life.
Here's a useful tip. If you want to avoid a bad outcome with a police officer, follow this simple rule.
Okay.
When a cop gives you a lawful command, obey it, even if you disagree. Whatever problem...
Yeah, I agree with that. You should have an option to try to voice yourself while complying, though. As if you desire to speak, I should say. They often recommend you don't speak. But if you feel it's unlawful, I also cannot deny... I don't know if it's illegal, right, but in my opinion, you have a right to try to leave or get away if you think what's being done is wrong. That's where it gets really difficult, right, where these people that maybe were breaking the rules resisting arrest or were doing something bad. Maybe into their mind they think they were doing the right thing. It's difficult. Life's morals are not clean cut like the world tries to tell you.
The problem you are experiencing is not going to be settled on the street. People with complaints need to use the process established for that purpose. Though cops don't have the final say, they do in that moment. How you react can be a matter of life or death.
That is true.
But the idea that a law-abiding citizen has to fear the police is a terrible and destructive lie. Let's get some perspective. In 2014, 990 people were killed in police use of force incidents. Does that sound like a lot? Did you know that according to a Johns Hopkins study, that same year medical errors killed 250,000 people? Yet activists aren't marching in the streets demanding that the medical profession be reformed.
That's not fair. I don't think that's like tomatoes, right? Like, we don't understand the things behind that. In most of those medical scenarios, were they already at risk of dying? I don't know. But with, like, yeah, anyways.
Why not? Why is it that the people who protect you from the bad guys, and I've seen these bad guys close up, are the subject of distrust and anger? Why is it that groups like Black Lives Matter, I call them Black Lies Matter, because it's based on the falsehood that police represent a danger to black people?
Although I think the term Black Lives Matter is not inclusive enough. I think all lives matter is the more thing now. And a lot of people say that's spitting in Black Lives Matter face. I don't think it's right to say Black Lies Matter, because these people aren't lying. They believe this. They think this. They feel this. And whether it's true or not, there's clearly a disconnect, and proper dialogue, and like there has to be proper dialogue, and the people have to be willing to come and meet from both sides. There has to be a solution. Of course I don't know the solution. I'm not going to pretend to know the solution, but we have to try to find a common ground.
People are celebrated by the media and politicians. All this is taking its toll on cops, and even more tragically, on the law-abiding citizens in the neighborhoods that most need a strong police presence. The murder rates in these neighborhoods are going up because lawful, aggressive policing is going down. Heather McDonald of the Manhattan Institute has explained why. She calls it the Ferguson effect, and it's real. It's also common sense.
Aggressive policing, I don't think, typically leads to lawful situations, depending on how they're calling aggressive, the police officers taking aggressive actions. If they're doing that, they're probably forced to break some rules. Now, that being said, that may overall benefit the community, or the way they break the rules could be damaging. It's hard to say.
Why police officers reason: put your career at risk if 30 seconds of smartphone video taken out of context can destroy it. Here's the truth. Police aren't afraid of walking the streets or being shot by random criminals. They're afraid of being involved in an incident that would label them forever as trigger-happy racists. Are there bad cops? I know firsthand that there are. I've had to fire them. But the overwhelming majority are good, decent men and women concerned about the law-abiding citizens in the communities they serve and are willing to put their lives on the line to protect them. Those who try to convince you, either out of ignorance or out of some ideological agenda, that the police are the enemy, those are the people you should fear. Run from them, not the cops. I'm Sheriff David Clark for Prager University.
Now, I think the way to look at it is, if there's bad cops, there's always bad cops. There's bad people in every industry, in every walk of life. But if 1% of them are evil, and let's say there's 1,000 police officers in the nation, Canada or states or whatever, even though there's way more than I'm sure. I don't know, though, but I'm just going to say, if we're going to use 1,000 for a number, 1% would be 100 people. And 100 bad active cops can cause a lot of damage. Then we have to find a way to deal with those people, but there's always going to be people that trickle in. Anyways, I hope everyone enjoyed this video, and have a good day.